Yeah, well, you know, and I'm one of the people who the governor was referring to, and he said people who defend the presidents. I've defended the Clintons before. I've voted for the Clintons in the past. Now, I've also voted against them a lot, going back to my time in Arkansas. But I voted for them a lot. I admire them. But what they're doing here is wrong. And
what is it? I mean, the way they're handling it or the underlying issue?
The underlying issues. What she did with the email violated White House policy, was wrong for the bad government. What they done with the foundation violated White House policy and is bad for governing and for our politics. I think she's getting some lousy political advice. Lousy political advice. They're looking at this like it's the 1990s, when the Clintons and other campaigns could identify a very small number of reporters, maybe a dozen, who were the gatekeepers, and their editors, another dozen or 2 dozen, and they could schmooze them, they could intimidate them, they could bully them, they could bore them, they could play them. And I was one of them. They could play the mainstream media long enough and ride out the issue. You could do that in the 1990s. Now, there's not just a couple dozen reporters. There's 300 million reporters, all of whom now are demanding transparency, honesty, and accountability and integrity in their government, and can see through the spin. You can see through the BS.
There still are actual reporters, and she has not been answering any of their questions.
You know what, Byron? She could answer every one of our questions, and she should. But if she thinks that just by spinning her way out of it and coming up with cute sound bites and coming up with the right word,
but like the way the public sees whether she's spinning or not is she comes out and she actually answers questions.
That's not enough. That's a good start. But if she really wants to put this behind her, she turns over the server. She returns all the foreign donations that went to the foundation. They never should have gone there in the first place. And she's incredibly transparent about the speaking fees, about who gave the president money and whether or not she met with him. She's got to be totally transparent and totally accountable. Words alone won't matter.
That is the most uncharacteristic thing I've ever heard about the Clintons. They can't do that.
I'm not saying I'm saying they have to.
Yeah.
Now, she could keep taking this lousy advice and continue. Her trust numbers can keep going down, and her favorability numbers can keep going down, and she could still become president because Republicans might put up somebody who's even less trustworthy. But then what kind of president are you going to be when the country doesn't trust you?